My family called me a failure long before I ever believed it myself. It was one of those labels that started as a joke and slowly hardened into something permanent. By the time I was 25, it wasn't even said with cruelty anymore. It was just fact. The way people say someone is tall or left-handed. I was the failure. My sister Claire was the golden child. Straight A's, perfect hair, married to a dentist before she turned 28. My younger brother Evan worked at my father's accounting firm and had been groomed to take over since he was in college. And me. I ran a small repair shop fixing old electronics and appliances. Nothing glamorous, just the kind of place where people brought broken things because it was cheaper than buying new ones. My parents hated it. "You're wasting your potential," my mother would sigh whenever my job came up. My father was less gentle. "You could have had a real career," he'd say. "Instead, you chose whatever this is." Eventually, I stopped explaining that I liked my work, that I liked fixing things, restoring them, making something useful again. To them, if it didn't come with a suit and a title, it didn't count. So I stopped arguing. I just let them believe I was the disappointment they wanted me to be. The worst of it always happened at family gatherings. Thanksgiving was the championship round. That year, my parents hosted dinner like they always did. The house was spotless. My mother's best china was out, and Claire had brought one of those expensive pies from a bakery that charged ridiculous prices for things my mom could make better. I showed up a little late because a customer had come into the shop just before closing with a broken laptop they desperately needed fixed. Claire noticed immediately. "Late again," she said with a tight smile as I walked in. "Work," I said, hanging up my coat. Evan snorted from the couch. "You mean your little hobby shop?" I ignored him. We sat down at the table soon after, and the conversation started out normal enough. Traffic, weather, Claire's husband talking about some dental conference. But eventually it turned, like it always did. My mother poured wine and said, "So Claire just finished renovating their kitchen, marble countertops." "That must have cost a fortune," my aunt said. Claire laughed modestly. "It was an investment." Then my father looked at me. "And how's the repair shop?" The way he said it made the whole table quiet. "It's good," I said. "Busy lately." "What does busy mean?" Evan asked. "People bring things in. I fix them." Claire tilted her head. "But is it profitable?" "It pays the bills." My father leaned back in his chair. "That's not really the same as success." The room shifted slightly. I kept eating. He continued, almost thoughtfully, "You were always the smart one growing up. I still don't understand why you threw it away." Claire tried to soften it. "Dad." But he waved her off. "No, I mean it. Your brother has a real career. Your sister built a life. And you," he gestured vaguely. Evan finished the sentence. "You fix microwaves." A few people chuckled. My mother sighed, like she was exhausted by me. "You're 32, she said gently. "Don't you want something more?" I set my fork down. "I like what I do." Evan laughed. "That's because you've never had anything better." And then my father said the line I'd heard so many times it barely even hurt anymore. "You're the failure of the family, son. You always have been." The words hung there over the mashed potatoes and turkey like smoke. Nobody argued with him. Nobody defended me. Claire stared at her plate. My mother sipped wine. It was just the truth everyone accepted. I picked up my glass of water and took a sip. And that's when the doorbell rang. My mother frowned. "Who on earth?" My father stood up to answer it. Through the hallway, I heard muffled voices. Then footsteps. When my father came back into the dining room, he wasn't alone. A man in a gray suit followed him, carrying a leather briefcase. Everyone stared. "Sorry to interrupt dinner," the man said politely. "I'm looking for Daniel Mercer." That was me. I slowly raised my hand. "I'm Daniel." The man nodded and stepped forward. My name is Robert Langford. I'm an attorney with Langford and Price. The room was silent now. I'm here regarding the estate of Mr. Harold Mercer. My grandfather. He passed away 3 weeks earlier. Claire spoke first. Oh, we thought the will reading was next month. The lawyer shook his head. The will has already been read. I'm here because there was a specific instruction to deliver certain documents directly to Daniel Mercer in person. Everyone looked at me. My father frowned. What documents? Mr. Langford opened his briefcase and removed a thick envelope. This one. He handed it to me. My hands felt oddly steady as I opened it. Inside were several papers, stamped and notarized. I scanned the first page, and then the second. The room waited. Finally, my father said impatiently, "Well." I looked up. Grandpa left me his company. The silence that followed was absolute. Evan blinked. What company? The manufacturing company. My father laughed sharply. That's impossible. Your grandfather retired years ago. Mr. Langford spoke calmly. Mr. Mercer retained majority ownership even after stepping down. The company is currently valued at approximately $42 million. No one moved. Claire whispered, 42. The lawyer continued. Per the terms of the will, Daniel Mercer inherits controlling interest and full operational authority. My father's face had gone pale. That doesn't make any sense. Mr. Langford looked at him evenly. It was very clear. Evan turned to me. You didn't even work there. I know. My mother leaned forward slowly. Why would your grandfather give it to you? I reached back into the envelope and pulled out one more paper. A letter, written in my grandfather's careful handwriting. I unfolded it. You might want to hear this, I said. And I started reading. Daniel, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and your family is probably confused. Let me explain. I built my company from nothing. For 40 years, I watched people try to turn it into something it was. They cared about profits, appearances, status. You were the only one who ever cared about the work. You fixed things. When everyone else chased titles, you built something with your hands. You reminded me of myself when I started. That repair shop of yours, I visited 3 times in the past year. You didn't recognize me because I used a different name. I watched how you treated your customers. You fixed things that other people would have thrown away. You charged people fairly. And when a single mother couldn't afford her repair bill, you waived it and told her to come back when she could. That's the kind of man I want running my company. Not someone chasing prestige. Someone who understands value. So I'm leaving it to you. You were never the failure of this family. You were the only one who understood what success actually meant. Grandpa. When I finished reading, nobody spoke. My father stared at the table. Claire looked stunned. Evan looked like someone had punched him in the chest. My mother finally whispered, He visited your shop. Apparently. Mr. Langford cleared his throat. There's also a board meeting tomorrow morning. They're expecting you. I folded the letter carefully. The room still felt frozen in time. My father finally said, very quietly, 42 million. Approximately. Evan leaned back in his chair. You're kidding. No. Claire looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. You own the company now. Looks like it. No one knew what to say. All those years of being the family failure suddenly had nowhere to go. The label had vanished. My father rubbed his temples. I don't understand. You never even showed interest in the business. That's true. He looked at me slowly. Are you going to run it? I thought about my grandfather's letter. About the shop. About fixing things. Yes, I said. And then I added calmly, but I'm doing it my way. No one laughed. No one made jokes about microwaves. Dinner ended quietly after that. And for the first time in 32 years, no one at that table called me a failure. Because the lawyer had read the will. And the truth had already spoken for itself.